So, welcome to another vlog here with drinking outside West London. Do you remember those days?
I do. How could I forget them?
Fantastic.
I forget it. I think we've only had one so far.
No, it was a bit more of a romance than that, wasn't it?
Ah, well. In your dreams, baby.
Right, we're going to look at, in this little tasting, two wines. We always talk about the size of the glass. Small glass, large glass. We're going to do Northern Rhone white wine, Northern Rhone red wine, and we're going to do two fantastic examples of what the Northern Rhone is all about.
So we've got both from the same guy, Yves Quiron, and we've got his Condrieu, and we've got his Cote Rotie, which I think has a little bit of the Viognier in there.
First things first, let's look at that small district which was nearly extinct in the 60s and 70s, that's Condrieu. There's something like 7 hectares in production in the 60s. Now
it was something like that, and now it's, I don't know who was the catalyst, I think there was a guy called Georges Rhone. He kept the flag flying for the area, and now Viognier is one of the trendy grapes around the world, all thanks to this tiny little bit of the Northern Rhone.
And what's trendy about it? Why are people starting to turn to Viognier from this part of the world?
Well, I think it's Viognier from all over the world, but this is the inspiration. And I think what's good about it is it's got that mixture, it's got the exotic. It's a really fresh but rich wine. Viognier for me, it's always a bit of a balancing act, because it's got, if you pick it too early, it's just another white grape variety. If you pick it too late, it's flabby. What you need to do is let it ripen sufficiently that it develops enough flavour, but not so much that it just falls apart and falls into this.
I think it's a grape of love. It's not a commercial grape. You don't make big numbers out of Viognier. You make small, yielding, powerful, structured, really intense wines. And when you smell this one, have a quick sniff. What do you get on this?
Well, I mean, I've had several sniffs of this. It's one of those wines that you can just sniff and sniff and sniff, and each time a little bit more comes out. Apricots, cream. Maybe I need a dissertation. You can tell. Yes. But it's exotic and it's rich and it's decadent wine. It's one of those that, yes, if you want to be cerebral, go somewhere else. This is all about love.
This is a grape of love, and when you taste it as well, it has that texture, complexity, but just on the nose, that wonderful sort of jasmine-y, perfumey touch that's quite common with Viognier, but this specific style, how much is this a bottle?
I can't remember, probably about 40 quid?
£60. £60, and it's I think it's almost worth every penny of that.
Well, what I like about it is we've got small glasses here. You get an awful lot of bang for your buck just in that little bit. So yes, £60 on the face of it looks a lot for a bottle, but if it's a bottle that you're going to share between, you could probably get around to like 8 people with this. Give them a decent slug.
I think this is one of those wines where you take it to a party and you take other wines and you give that to your friends, but you keep this one for yourself.
Would you do things like that?
No, not at all. I'm just saying some people might do that.
With a brown bag?
Yeah. Not in the park, not in the park.
Brown bag and a straw.
But next door to Condrieu is a district of complete fame, and it's a bit bigger. It's about twice the size, about 250 hectares, but that's Cote Rotie. And
the roasted slope.
The roasted slope, making wines of big intensity made from Shiraz, but a little bit sometimes of this grape that we've just tasted, that Viognier. Why do they throw in, or why can they throw in a little bit of that Viognier?
Well, once upon a time, they didn't ripen the Syrah Shiraz as well as they're doing now. And the idea about putting the Viognier in there, it just softened it when the wine was young. As the wine got older and some of those slightly rougher edges mellowed and the gorky edges were, slowly dissipated.
Gorky a technical term?
No, it's a park in Russia.
Okay.
So what happens to the wine now? Because they're picking the fruit riper, healthier, it doesn't need that Viognier to soften it. You're getting much softer, rounder flavours. Still fresh, still lively, still very vibrant. And so now it's a stylistic thing. If you want something that's a little more exotic, put a dollop of Viognier in there, maybe 3-4%, but I think this stands very nicely by itself.
Yes, and it's from the roasted slope facing south. Some of the slopes are around 50-60 degree incline, so you get this wonderful aspect to the equator. That's why we call it roasted slope. It's like a sun trap, and you get those grapes really ripe. And then they can also put it in a bit of oak as well, because the wine's got a structure, the oak goes well, and that's that smoky bacon element here, and all that spice as well and intensity. It's such a big, fantastic wine, Cote Rotie.
Well, I think that here you've got a mixture of the smokiness and smokiness from the oak, but I also think there's some smokiness from the grapes themselves. I mean, this idea of this toasted, roasted character. Some people say it's called Cote Rotie because of that aspect, facing the sun. But there's also that character that comes through in the wines as well.
It's a bit of both, isn't it?
Yeah.
And a great wine. I think Cote Rotie wines that are fantastic. You know, a lot of character, a lot of intensity, and it showed tonight when we asked a lot of people, did they prefer Northern Rhone? And these are our two examples of Northern Rhone against Southern Rhone. Quite a few people went for that Northern Rhone.
Yeah, certainly my favourites. These two, the pick of the night for me.
Fantastic. Well, cheers.
Cheers.